Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Beth, a creator-based coach with CMH Coaching for Life. I'm here today to help you and those you love create a life you feel grounded and at home in. Think of a life where you feel peace, love for those around you, and in a flow with just enough challenge to keep you happy and creating something wonderful. Sounds like magic, but it's not. You can create that life every single day. You can have a life full of love, excitement, hope, and creation. Our mission at CMH Coaching is to flood the earth with light through compassion, mindfulness, and hope. And I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you like what you see and hear today, think of someone you know that would enjoy and benefit from this message. Our mission is to flood the world with compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Share this with them. But for now, this is time just for you. So settle into whatever you're doing and enjoy this time with the girls, where we create that one awesome, amazing, perfect life every one of us is seeking.
You gotta watch your thinking. Watch your thinking. Watch your thinking.
Welcome. Just got to say, welcome to creator-based coaching, to a creator-based life, the podcast for CMH Coaching. We are here today. We empower women to create the lives that they love and get up and teach seminary, or get up and write, or get up and build and get in. But you know what? By the middle of the afternoon, some days you're just tired. So I'm here with Jacine, who has the most energy of any of us. Jacine's a business coach. She's a mom. She's a grandma. And she's actually an avid runner as well. You guys know some of the great things we've learned from Jacine and her running.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris, who is currently a seminary teacher. And she's also a creator-based coach. And she is a can grow anything gardener, almost. But I like to think anything. And Jen's a hypnotherapist, and she is very good at what she does. And I'm Beth, a master life coach and the author of The Creator-Based Way. Create your one awesome, amazing, perfect life, which does not mean that it's easy all the time, and does not mean that it's happy all the time. Because sometimes you just wake up on a Monday and you got the bottom half of the video going on. So I was telling the girls 3 times today. I mean, I woke up tired. I didn't sleep well last night. I had a did too much headache that kept me from sleeping. And I really did a lot over the weekend. It was super fun, and my muscles are super sore. And I've been struggling with the soreness and with the tiredness. And I was telling the girls 3 times today, I was mad about something and started to type out a text. Oh my gosh, my thumb's just flying. And they got about 2/3 through and went, now this is just not nice. Put it away. But 3 separate times. So you need to be human, y'all, because that is what we are doing. We are being human.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to help any way we can. So today, of all things, ironically, we are talking about living lightly. And I don't know about you, but when I'm tired, I don't feel light. Not light in the sense of turning on a light, but light in the sense of weight. When I'm tired, I tend to feel heavy. In fact, when I went to sit down next to Jared on the bed, I'm like, scooch over, I feel a wide butt today.
I need more room.
Yeah, I just need more room. I just feel big and heavy, and it's not living lightly at all. And so it's kind of fun that I get to have one of those days when we're going to talk about actually what we can do to consistently live lightly, because it is within our power and our choice how we're going to live the day. And when I was telling Jared about how cranky I was, I just said, it's okay, because we're going to do the podcast this afternoon and I'll feel better. And so one of the things that I think of first when I think of living lightly is doing something for somebody else. About something you love and being involved in making the world better somehow or another. This is how I spent my morning, sitting on the couch, trying not to eat too much food and watching NCIS. And I'll tell you right now, that is not a way to live lightly.
That's kind of like, that's a lot of
I saw a lot of dead bodies this morning. Yeah. And so it wasn't the best way for me to choose to spend my time. And it kind of made me grumpy, as was evident with all three of those texts, which blessedly did not go through. But let's talk about this idea of switching from that heavy gray to the living lightly. Kind of like you have this incandescent light that you're able to switch on inside of yourself so that it comes out and it makes you buoyant. So you kind of are like a helium balloon, like bobbing above the yuck.
I would just like to quote the Monday morning inspiration, actually.
Yes.
May I please?
Please do. Please do. Quote it and preach, sister.
I would like to read from it because it honestly inspired me today. I just felt so much inspiration from it, and I hope you guys will too. So this is what from creator-based coaching, CMH coaching, the Monday morning inspiration. Today, I'd like to consider the concept of living lightly as keeping a buoyant, incandescent glimmer going throughout your day. And I love that thought. Just this buoyant, incandescent glimmer.
And I love the glimmers because Jen talks about glimmers. Can you just for a second, Jen, can you tell us about glimmers and what they mean in your life?
I heard this a long time ago, and it was a woman who was talking about how she had a glimmer or a spark practice where she looked for those little lights, those little things that happened that would light her on fire or like bring her joy or bring her happiness. And so she would look for her glimmers and her sparks in her life.
And she associated those with her creator, right? With God. That they were sparks of light from him. Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
I love
So a buoyant incandescent glimmer going through.
And then live as if a small flame of happy expectation is kindled inside of you. And that's harder when you're tired, but it really is possible. Yeah, just where is that small flame? And maybe it's not even a flame right now. Maybe it's just like
maybe it's only a spark.
Yeah,
it's
or
a spark. It's a little glowing ember, and we are working on just fanning it back to life.
Yes, right. Because sometimes we do have to fan it back to life.
We do.
Get that.
That's the idea. Days are good and days are not so good. Yeah.
No, I just, and then moving through life with a sense of wonder and exploration is the path of learning and growth. Our eyes are open to discover and embrace truth. So that really struck home with me. I've thought multiple times after reading that today, when I start to go down into a hole that is dark and the fire is not burning, to like, oh, where's that flame? Where is that? I know it's there. Okay, I can find that. And then it's interesting because I am such a visual person. I can picture that inside of me. And then when I think about it, it fans the flame. And
the flame, when the flame begins to pick up, that light creates that happy expectation.
Yeah.
I remember as a little kid in the summertime, those first few days of summer break, waking up with this incredible happy expectation, right? Remember? Or even the last week before school was over, just that happy expectation. And so for me, that's what I strive for, is to wake up with that happy expectation in the morning. And or at the happy expectation at lunchtime or during the podcast, kind of like today.
Find it somewhere.
It just, you want to fan the flame. Some people call it hope. Some people call it positivity. There's a podcast or like a little blip that I used to listen to on positivity where she just talked about ways to be more positive about your day. But it's living lightly. And the light is not only the buoyancy, but the light is also the brightness. And you can feel it and see it with people who are living that way because they really do have a shine from behind their skin. There's a lightness to them. And so when I think of living lightly, I think of bouncing along, but also the glow.
Mhm.
that just lights your way and lights the way for other people. Yeah.
I went to a business seminar several years ago. It was actually a coaching seminar. Um, and it was interesting because in this room of 400, 500 people, as we broke for a lunch break, I think it was, as I was walking out, I started to see and notice certain people. And
Mhm.
as I started noticing those people, I thought, wow, look, I want to be with them.
They're
How
the
can
glow in the dark people, right?
yeah, how can I gravitate towards them? And during the next few days, those people gravitated towards me as well. And so we ended up having this group of maybe 20 people that
Uh-huh.
just had an incredible, I think, brightness to them. That's why I was gravitating towards them, is because they were bright and they were hopeful, and they were different. They stood out and they were different than the rest of the group, which was really, really cool.
Okay, so what do you attribute that differentness to?
As I think of
Seen
them as
it. I mean, I've been to
individuals,
seminars the same way and I've
Mhm.
seen it. What do you think?
I as I think of them as individuals, each of them had the light of hope, the light of positivity, the light of several had the light of Christ in them. Several, it was light. It was
Yeah, the light
what
of
they
the
were putting
creator.
in to themselves was
Yeah.
coming out. Yeah.
Well, and so they probably had a practice as well of filling themselves with some kind of light, whether that light was through service or that light was through study or maybe a combination of
Mm-hmm.
things that they loved to do. I know people who love to cook. And
Mm.
when they create in the kitchen, they're light as they're creating in the kitchen. But then they're even brighter as they share it. They pass it to you, you know, and you can see that love just emanates with
Mm.
their food. So maybe they have a practice of something that they love that
Yeah, I'm certain that they did. Yeah, yeah. And we were all there to learn a coaching style and to create, to improve our business and our coaching. And um, so they were outward focused, definitely outward focused people.
wanted to
And
serve.
there were certain people in the group that constantly were taking energy from the whole group. And
Yeah,
they were raising their hand with questions and always had to be like, look at me, look at me. And oh, I'm,
more of a victim position.
yeah, definitely a victim position and seeking for that energy and that light from other people. And I think to a certain extent, we're able to give that light, but there comes a point when you have to have boundaries and you have to help them instead of trying to live off of you to see that they have that inside of themselves.
Yes, because we know that we have all of the power that we need to create the life we want, right? We have light and truth within us.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, it's true. And you can have kind of a boundary where you just can deliberately say in your mind and in your heart, I'm going to keep me and I will help you, but not through me. I'll just support you, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'll
I love that.
coach you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really important. I think for me, just thinking about when I was sitting on the couch this morning and getting grumpier and grumpier and grumpier, it was sliding into victim. And I
Mhm.
didn't even connect that until we were talking, but just kind of sliding down the poor me slick hill, you know, just down we go into the poor me. And then from that victim place, then I get mad. And that's where the crankies came from. But if I flip that around and when I notice that I'm in a victim space, to be able to take it back to my creator,
Mhm.
then I would be more likely to turn off the television and take a nap instead of griping, right? Or turn off the television and get something healthy to eat, or do something, even if it was something small that was productive, that would help switch out of that. It's all about focus. Yes.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Jen? You look like you've got thoughts going in there that you want to share.
Just a few. I had an experience kind of like Jacene's, where I was at a retreat with a bunch of women that we all were on our path, our healing path. And so that's why we were at this retreat. And we were at different stages of this path. And there was a woman that just really, she glowed. She's kind of like when you walk in a room, it's like she's highlighted. She has that yellow highlighter all over her.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of highlighted her and everything. And later, just as we got to know each other, I was able to see that she had healed from a lot of her issues, and she had come to an understanding of herself, and was able to, I guess, put to rest some of these stories and these victimhoods and things like that. So she was really authentically who she was.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes that is a sign of somebody that lights up from within, because they've walked the walk, and they have healed or come to some type of understanding about themselves, and just it's like they're real. I don't know how else to say it. So yeah, and
there's just strength that comes in having lived through things.
Yeah, well, and actually learned from them and healed from them, because some of these women that were of the same age were still walking in their pain. And it was like, she had been through a lot, but she had now learned from it and moved forward. And so that to me was, I could see her light because of that.
It's so cool. Well, and nothing wrong with walking in your pain. We all have pain.
No. It's just, and I think that helped other people to see that this is where you could keep doing this, because this is where you can be. It's like you can, you can unburden yourself.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Which I think gives other people hope.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we need others to share and to be authentic and share what they've been through, as well as what has helped them to come through it.
Yeah. That connection is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were made for connection, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the last week we're going to be talking about #blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been on harvest all month long, right? The beauty of the harvest. And one thing that I noticed this morning in my grumpies is I was looking past the harvest and into the gray of the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Just skip the whole harvest part and go right to the cold,
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, what part of that is recognizing to stay present. I am a great storyteller, but the stories aren't good. To be present is much better. And to sit and when I do choose to tell a story, I like to, instead of telling a story, I like to remember instead things that actually happened that were good, rather than forecasting and telling myself stories. So how do you guys stay present? What do you do to stay in the space with your harvest? With the good things. I know, Jen, you just had great success at the retreat. How did you stay there?
Well, I always just whenever I start telling myself a story, I've been able to understand, I'm telling myself a story about how this should be.
You recognize it.
Or how it's not the way I want it to be.
Yeah. It's usually because I'm feeling some type of feel, whether it's uncomfortable or anger, I'm feeling something that's not pleasant and I don't like it. And so I have to figure out my story and challenge that story and feel the feelings behind it, because that feeling is letting me know there's something that needs to be looked at and worked through or just felt.
Acknowledged at the very least.
Yeah. Right? And just be like, well, why do I tell myself this story when X, Y, or Z happens?
Right.
Yeah. And could I tell myself a better story? What is the payoff with this story? because I don't like being in this anger or this frustration or whatever. So
Yeah.
what can I bargain here? What can I
Yeah.
do? Yeah.
This
Sometimes I
last
just have to
weekend,
feel it. Sometimes I have to be angry and then I'll work through it a different time. But other times I'm like, yeah, let's do this differently.
Mm.
Ben was home. He'd been over in Asia for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And he was home yesterday. And it was just really fun to hear about all of his adventures. But the significant thing in the conversation kind of happened towards the end when he was saying he had never traveled abroad before this. And he had gone because he wanted to stay in an ashram and get his yoga certification. But when he got to the ashram, he found out that the ashram really wasn't his thing. It wasn't there. What the people there didn't mesh with him. He didn't agree with the instructor. It just really wasn't something he wanted to do. But he had come all the way to Asia. I mean, you're talking serious commitment to be at this ashram. And so I asked him what it was like to bridge from that, because he was only there 2 or 3 days and he realized that wasn't where he wanted to be. And then to become so comfortable with traveling that he stayed for another 3 or 4 months and plans to go back and do the same thing all over again. He fell in love with it. And he said, well, when he decided he was going to leave the ashram, he was pleasantly surprised. He was pleased that he got to leave with 2 friends, people that he had met there.
Yeah.
And when they went into the city, and he said, I had a moment. It was really scary when I walked into a city where I couldn't read the words and I couldn't speak the language and I couldn't even read the money because the numbers were different on the money.
You don't even think about that.
No, nothing. He couldn't figure out. It was completely, all of it was foreign.
Right.
And he said, I had a moment. And Ben is big. He's like 6 feet tall and he's a big, strong man. But he still just had this, oh my gosh, what have I done moment. And he said, so I was really blessed to be with these 2 friends, but they didn't do it for him. They just went in and they walked into where there was food and he watched. And it's different the way they got food there. He said, you actually walk into the kitchen and there's chairs all out in this front place, but then you walk into the kitchen and you point at what you want.
Oh.
And then they put it on a plate for you and you come around and then you pay. But he couldn't read the money and he didn't know what to give her, And so he's like, I made my best guess and I handed it to her and she looked at me like, and you're not giving me enough more.
Yeah.
Like I just had to trust. And he said it was so uncomfortable, but then he sat down and he ate and he broke the ice. That was the first time. And the second time was a little bit easier. And the third time was a little bit easier. But he said what he learned was to be comfortable in the discomfort. And he said, I've become more and more comfortable in the discomfort. He got into San Francisco and was basically marooned in San Francisco for a day and a half because there was all the problems with flights. But he said, I got really, really mad and I just got really stubborn. And he said at 2 a.m., I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to sleep here on the floor and show them. But then to have a little conversation with himself and say, okay, so who are you serving here? And you're not thinking, well, just go to the hotel, sleep, come back fresh. But it was in accepting the discomfort of the change that he was able to become more comfortable and learn to love the adventure. So as I was listening to him, I'm like, okay, so for us, now I was just on the living room couch, uncomfortable and grumpy. But and I have experienced this in the last few months, what if instead I choose to accept the discomfort and just allow the discomfort? There's no story to spin. There's actually a gentle camaraderie with whatever the emotions are that are inside of me, where I'm observing and taking care of myself. And I'm not resistant. I'm not even really leaning in. I'm just with it. If it's something in my body, it's like, yep, that hurts. What can I do to help you, body?
It's your accommodation. You just accommodate.
There you go. Talk to us about accommodating.
Well, you're the one that taught us about it. And
I know, but they're tired of hearing me. You talk.
For me to do the accommodate practice is I'm not trying to fix it. I'm not trying to make it go away. I'm not, I mean, to an extent, I'm not, I guess I am accepting it, but what I'm doing, I'm creating space and accommodation for it to exist.
And respecting that it has a right to be there.
And it has its story, it has its space, it's got something to say, it's got something to tell me. And maybe I just need to work through the feeling of it. Maybe I just need to feel the accommodation of that pain or whatever. And so I just accommodate it. And in my head, of course, because it's very visual, it's just this big comfy couch that everything comes and sits on the couch. And if I need to make it bigger, I make it bigger. If I need to give it a blanket, I give it a blanket. But all that I need to accommodate comes before me. And then we just sit.
We snuggle on the couch
Yeah, we
until
just let
something's
it
ready
be.
to up and go.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's what Jared did for me today when I was so grumpy. He just came and sat down on the couch and stayed. That was it. You know, just sat with it.
Didn't try to fix you, didn't try to, just sat there. Yeah.
Just sat there.
Supported.
Yeah. Didn't try to fix anything. Yeah. So then I think of that like accompanying. I know Jane the piano, and you've accompanied people on the piano before. And I think of it for me the same way. When someone is singing and I'm playing the piano for them, I don't start without them, right? I wait and I watch them take a breath, and they're the ones that's leading.
Right.
And I let them lead. And as I relinquish my plan and my desires, my story, if you will, and let them take the lead and I follow them, we make something beautiful. We will not make something beautiful unless I allow them. Because we'd be fighting for how fast we were going or when we stopped or whatever. It would not be beautiful. But just like you're talking about the accommodation and the accompanying, to just on the big couch, everything is there. And that's exactly where I was this morning on the big couch, but I wasn't being real accommodating. I was more grumpy, but I'm learning, right? And that's the point, is we keep coming up with these opportunities to practice. It's not necessarily wrong. If I had sent the text, it would have been wrong. It would have been wrong. I would have acted out of that frustration, and that would have been bad. But instead, just feeling it and being with it and allowing it to pass through, and then taking the lessons from it, which these are important for living lightly, taking those lessons. And then at the end, when we've been through it, like you went through your retreat and you went through your coaching class, then celebrating what we did. And in celebrating, everything begins to integrate in our souls. And that, I bet, is the way your friend at the retreat who glowed got to where she was. Because she was willing to be on the big comfy couch. She was willing to accommodate all of the discomfort and the things that were there, learn the lessons, and then celebrate and let it integrate. The integration part is not so good for me. That's where I am right now, is I'm in the integration and I rush it. I don't want to sit and let it integrate. I want to move on to the next thing. And so that's something I'm working on. Do you guys go through that practice? Maybe not in those steps, but allowing the celebration and the integration at the end of something, like we just did the wedding. So that's celebration and integration for me with the big project that we did in 2024.
I think that's really hard for me, because in business, it's always, okay, what's the next goal? What's the next thing you've got to achieve? And so for most of my life, that's really how I process things. And, with brothers in sports and just pretty much everything in life, it's always looking forward to the next goal, achievement, and not really sitting back and enjoying and living lightly. Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, to live lightly, it's so necessary. And I've learned it. I hope y'all don't wait until you're in your mid-50s to learn these things. That's why we're doing this podcast, is so you guys can learn and start implementing in your lives right now, because it's so necessary. My body so often would be screaming at me saying, slow down, having hives for 6 months after a big, huge event that took a full year to plan and prepare and execute. And it's because I didn't slow down. I just kept trying to push through, and you
Well,
just
and you didn't know then that your body is your best friend.
no.
You didn't know that she's there to support you and help you learn and grow. Yeah.
No. And looking at her with those hives, it was like, what is your deal? Stop this. Like, this is just stupid. Like, come on, get with it.
Girl, we got work to do. But
Yeah.
that's not the way we learn. Yeah.
No. Mhm.
It's amazing. It was amazing. Well, and with the celebration, like when your brothers were in sports, I imagine they all jumped up and down on the field and cheered and stuff when they won.
Always, yeah.
And a lot of that celebration actually does begin to integrate.
Interesting. And the fans, I mean, you do it as a fan. You're proud of whomever you're watching, your team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't ever think about that as a celebration, but it really is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the yelling and jumping up and down and the letting loose. That's the celebration. Yeah.
That's what we needed to do after that community auction that I worked on. Our team should have had a celebration when it was all done, instead of it was like,
even
oh
if it was even just to jump up and down and yell and scream for a minute, we did it and celebrate it.
yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it makes life more fun. What do you think, Jen?
I just think that, we can look to, the pattern that our Heavenly Father gives us for this. This is what's in my mind. It's like he did the work of the creation. And after each day, he said it was good.
Even though it was only day 2.
Yeah.
You agree.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, how many times do we say, okay, this was good. This was good. And we kind of let it be what it was.
Yeah.
And then after everything has come to its fruition, we rest. I'm sure there was joy and I'm sure there was rejoicing, but there was rest too. There was a time to take in what he had just created.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, well, that's a pattern that I probably should be thinking of.
Yeah, it's something to consider and to think about.
Instead of just moving straight on to the next thing, be like, this is good. And let's
stop just for a moment and recognize how good this really was.
Yeah.
It's funny. We had Seth's wedding a week ago Saturday. It's been a week now since we had Seth's wedding. And we had a booking today for the Beehive room. And the girl in her booking said, I'm getting married in Paris and I want to spend my honeymoon. I want to spend my first night in the Beehive.
Oh,
so we're going to have another freshly wedded couple that's coming in a couple of days. And we will have, and to me, that was a gentle reminder from my creator to celebrate what we did. We'll celebrate with them in whatever way they want, but to come back and say, yeah, we did this, we created this, and to celebrate and to integrate that, because that's what gives us the power to create more. And the light that we do in our celebration, that's the living light. Yeah.
In the Monday morning inspiration there, you put this quote in there from Oprah Winfrey, and it says, the more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. And I
love that. She's so wise.
Perfect. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
We're not going to go, because we're pretty well talked your ear off already. We're not going to go through the celebration integration practice, but if you come to cmhcoaching.com and you join just the list, all you got to do is click on the pop-up box that says, yes, tell me more. And you can click any of them, whatever it is that you're interested in, and you will get the Monday morning inspiration on the regular. And then you can practice some of these things that we're talking about and learn and live a little more lightly, because it is definitely a happier way to live. And it really makes a difference in the world. Speaking of making a difference in the world, our own Jennifer DeRoos is going to teach a beautiful class on my one word in a week a week from Saturday, right? The
Two.
9th.
The 9th.
The 9th of November. And the link to that is also in Monday Morning Inspiration. But Jen, you want to talk just a little bit about the class so people know what they're signing up for when they go to CMH coaching?
It's called My One Word. It's a workshop where we're going to introduce the practice of having a word kind of direct your year. So 2025. Beth and I have done it, and JC has done it for a few years now, how we just see how a word kind of has this direction in our life throughout the year. And I involve my creator in getting my word so that he can take that word and show me places I really need it to be, where I before was like, wait a minute, that's not what I thought it was going to be. But it's a practice of, you define the word, you see how the word shows up in your life. I'm a visual person, so I have, as you're doing this, we create a vision board or a vision book with a page that this is what that word looks like to you in images and how you want it to look like in the future. So you have something that's a visual reminder, so you can search throughout the year with that. Now, I use it in like whatever books I read, whatever experiences I have in my life when I am in the scriptures, and see how that word starts to pop up into my life and how it starts to shape, my behavior and things, how I start to see things. And so I just encourage you to come and see if you want to try this word of your year, and see how your life can change with your word, your one word.
Yeah, it is really, really cool. I know, I think I'd have to go count, but I think this is our 5th year to do
Surface
my
year.
one word.
Yeah.
And when I got my word over the weekend, I wrote it in my journal, and it was kind of fun because last year I wrote it in my journal on November 1st. So I'm just a little bit early. But when I wrote it in my journal, I saw that the words that were listed above were all like sequential steps to this word. If I started looking at them and going, oh, well, look, I had no idea. And so I could really see the hand of the Lord, like you said, not in any way that I thought it was going to happen, but in ways to celebrate, in ways of light, and ways that create awe for me. Because I'm like, oh, he knows so much better than I do. And all I had to do was follow the direction.
Yeah.
And then he created this magnificent, growth for me.
Yes.
So it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, JC?
I love my one word. I love that. That it just, for the whole year, it's just been incredible. And
it's a touchstone.
it is a touchstone. And, last year, Jen and Beth introduced me to Lisa Leonard, who does these beautiful my one word
Line up
rings.
front.
Yeah. And so I know
that you can read it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, what are yours? You have joyous and become, and what's on top?
Fulfill.
Yeah.
Mine is bright and surge. That's what I wore this year.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing I hung on to surge, because I would have been swept away.
Woo!
It'd be a big year. Yeah.
What are your 3, JC?
So it's funny because I've only got the 2 rings, so gather and then truth. And then the third one I have is called a CTR ring, which reminds me to choose the right.
That's right. Yeah. Choose the right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Gonna have another nice little visit with Lisa Leonard now.
Yes, I know. Lisa Leonard's going to get some more business from me this year too.
That's right. Get some new things. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Awesome. So tell us about our book, JC.
It's my one word. So we've been discussing my one word, and we'll finish it up this week. And I had a book for next month, but for the life of me, I can't remember it.
Well, that's okay, because it's just to keep the suspense going. You have to come back next week so you can know what it is for November.
What it is. Yeah. I know it has something to do with gratitude. I just can't remember.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And we'll start a new theme when we meet again. But first, we have Mastermind tonight, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to talk just a little bit more along this theme and do some more coaching on it. And tomorrow we have Coaching Clear, one of my very, very favorite days of the week, because the wisdom of that group of women, when we combine it with everybody brings their own goal, what it is that they'd like to have happen in that coaching session. And then we do the energetic clearing to help them move towards that goal. We just all walk away feeling so good. Makes a huge difference. So Coach and Clear on Tuesday, Mastermind this Monday. And I think we have Mastermind again next Monday because it'll be the
We do.
first Monday. Yeah, those are the first and third Mondays in November. We just had to bump it into a weird day this month because of the wedding. Just lots and lots of good things coming. And I just want you to know, drought-stricken Texas is forecast to have 4 days of rain this week.
Oh, wow.
So we are very ready. Yes. Another windy day today, and then it's supposed to just get rainy. So
Good.
Nice.
I'm really hoping. So till next time. Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all live lightly. Do whatever it is to bring what brings light into your life. And let's just practice living life. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
With every little thought I think. I can choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think.
Hey, thanks for joining us today in A Creator-Based Life. I hope you felt that compassion, mindfulness, and hope you came seeking today. You can find more of it at cmhcoaching.com or on linktree/cmhcoaching. Of course, any social media outlet, we're there too. Because you felt the benefit and light in this message, please invite those you care deeply about to join us. Help us to create a ripple effect across the globe of compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Then we can create a creator-based life together. Have a great week, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
I can choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. Day by day, I pave the way with